Hi, I'm Dave Crane. Now I also do gigs like this. And I can train you to be able to work with people like this. And then you also can do gigs like this. Come join me and we'll take your speaking to a whole new level. Good morning, hi, it's me, Dave. How are you? It feels like forever since we last chatted. Did you miss me? Do you know who I am? Dave. I should have a badge saying, I've got a badge saying Dave. That's my badge here. It says Dave. So I have got one. I'm trying to wean myself off something, right? I'm trying to wean myself off looking at the news and seeing the latest in the American elections because it's all started. And I tell you what, I'm just so over it. I mean, I don't care what happens. I do care what happens, but I don't care what happens. But I'm not going to tell you what I want to happen because then we have a little argument like that. Oh, you don't like the same thing I like. I'd rather not do that. So let me just say that as well. If you just joined me, by the way, welcome to Speak on Stage. My name's Dave Crane. Nice to see you. Welcome to the show. Last couple of shows have been me re-showing stuff that you've seen before, all about mental health and so on. So I'm not going to go over that stuff. I'm going to go about something completely different today. But it is still valid and it is still useful for you. And thank you very much for joining me. Now let me just explain. This is what we're talking about today. New leadership and skill sets for 2021. Things that you're going to need to know and things you're going to have to be strong at using in the coming months and beyond if you want to stay relevant in the workplace that we're working in just now. Now, I'm not going to talk about the elections because we've still got weeks to go, but you know what it's like. I'll tell you exactly what it's like. It's like, can you imagine having a scab and you want to picket it, and you know it hurts when you do, and you go, but it's a really delicious one. I just want to, not delicious as in eating, but it makes you feel like you want to get engaged in doing something with it, and you don't want to touch it, but you do want to touch it, but you don't, but you do, but you don't. Well, that's exactly what it feels like with the news. So I'm staying away from all elections. I've said that properly. I'm not going to touch another election. Wait for you to catch up for some time. So there we go. We'll see what happens and la-di-da. So today's show, as I mentioned, it's all about leadership skills. It's all about the tech that you're going to need. I've got a ton of really good, interesting things to share with you, including we're going to go for a deep dive into some really cool stuff about remote leadership and how if you are a remote leader, you can get the very best out of your team. Yes, even despite the fact that working from home was kind of like an excuse to be remote, whereas now I think remote is going to be a lot more permanent. If you haven't had your team in the office for 6 months and you're renting that office space in the center of town and everyone seems to be doing okay, possibly more productive than they've ever been before, why would you consider moving back again apart from the fact you've got 6 months rent to go? I mean, seriously, if they're happy with that, why get such an expensive property in the center of town? Because people aren't walking past you and they're out going, wow, look at you, you're in a really high apartment block and office block and it's all shiny with a concierge at the front and we should walk up and give you a free massage because you just look really good at your office and your desk. I'm not saying that's true for everybody, but the figures are showing that many people enjoy working from home and it might well become a permanent thing for many people, at least for the time being. I do think when we've got less fear of COVID and things have moved on a bit, then people will want to gravitate back towards human beings. But that's me assuming that's true, and you should never assume, because as you know, they say, when you assume, you make an ass of you and me. Have you heard that before? If you haven't, or you've heard it now, I don't know what it means, but there you go. And by now, you should have one of these. I've got my coffee cup today, but I've got it with tea in it. Ow, it's hot. Because I've got my, I don't know if I've ever shown you this before. I don't think I can show you it. To stretch it. No, I can't stretch it. It's my mat for heating my cup of tea. I've got my Captain Marvel mug. Can you see that, Captain Marvel? Look there, you can see it better. And on the back, It says rebellious spirit. That's all about me. Or Captain Marvel, I'm not really sure. But it's good for keeping the cup. The only problem is it doesn't fit the dishwasher. And I know you're going to say, Dave, why have you got a dishwasher, you lazy person? Yeah, but it's my job to fill the dishwasher. I don't just leave it for somebody else to do. I empty it, I fill it, I put the powder in, and I get it to do that. And you're wondering, well, why is it, Dave, you have a dishwasher? Because I don't want to have fights at 11 o'clock at night about whose job it is to clean the sink. Okay? Remember, it's lockdown. It's not lockdown, but it is lockdown. But it isn't, but it is. But it isn't, but it is. So, happy coffee to wherever and wherever you are. Now, let me know where you are, by the way, wherever you are in the world. And hi from me. I love your comments. I love your thoughts. We broadcast live out to various different platforms, going out to LinkedIn, going out to Facebook, going out to Periscope, which goes into Twitter, and going out to YouTube. I'd love you to subscribe to my YouTube channel because there's going to be some secret stuff going there that I don't share with everybody else. And even the outtakes of a show, which I don't share. I mean, what you don't know is one little fact, for instance, when I first started today's show, I had to stop it straight away because the camera had frozen, and I didn't know that. So you would have come on and seen me like this. And you would have got a really good view of my nose, which is like going on a Zoom call to people outside of your work who've been told don't have your camera up the bottom staring up your nose. So I got rid of that. I stopped the broadcast straight away and got rid of it. So it is somewhere, and I may put stuff like that, but also extra stuff on YouTube that you will not find anywhere else. So go to Dave Crane Global, press the subscribe button, and you can find out what's going on over there. Also, if you like what I'm doing here and you enjoy joining us for the show, don't miss a single thing. When I do broadcast, it's generally around about this kind of time, but sometimes it does go later depending on what I've got. And today I've got a busy day. Woo! Not as busy as I was yesterday, I've got to say. Yesterday I had 7 Zoom calls plus 2 broadcasts. Yes. Which is a lot to take in. And I know that you're going to say, Dave, yeah, but the thing is, it's not like proper work. I know it's not. And your point is what? Okay, so next up, we're going to be looking at 3 different clips all about remote working, because today's subject is very much about this. Excuse me, ooh, that's that tea fighting its way back out the cup. It's all about, I forgot what I was talking about then. Let's come back to it. New leadership and skill sets. And I've got 3 videos. First one is about when I was working on stage at the World CIO Forum, and you see me questioning 2 leaders in industry, one of which is John Mattone, both good friends of mine. I always say stuff like that, but probably never heard of me since. But anyway, no they are. One, John Mattone, who was Steve Jobs' coach, who's a brilliant speaker, but also a really smart guy when it comes to the insights of the industry and what big business does to stay at the top of the food chain. So he's worked with Apple and many other organizations. And the other one is John Zerihun, who is the CEO and founder of Yamba.com. Have a look at that, check him out. They're both incredible. One of the things you should know about Yamba is, actually I've got to check on this, whether it did get launched when we said we are going to launch it, because it was going to be launched, and all singing, all dancing, and then we're all in lockdown, so I haven't heard much since about it. But it doesn't mean it's not big, because it had the biggest launch lined up of any platform ever. I mean it. It was something like $1.6 billion was going to go into a launch. I joke you not, from the investors and all the rest of it. So it's a big thing. So I caught up with them, and you'll see that in a moment on the CIO World Summit. And I talked about leadership and where we think it's going to go. And the audience is CIOs. Now the thing about CIOs is that's Chief Information Officer. So they're the techie guys. They're the guys who are like Mr. Spock on Star Trek. So basically you ask them a question and they go, it's because it's logical. And you go, oh, okay, and you walk away and you scratch your head. You go, I don't know what logical means. What do you mean by that? I'm not smart enough. So it's super smart people. Next up, after that, we're going to be looking at a couple of different things, how to be able to motivate your team when they are remote. And also, we'll be taking a little look at how Toastmasters suggest you can use your platform, whether it's Zoom or whatever you use, to get closer to your teams. So that's what's coming up when we have our reaching out videos. And I'd love to have your thoughts and your comments. As always, it's a pleasure to have you with me. And I hope you enjoy this show. This is Speak on Stage. I'd now like to invite on stage, very exciting moment for me to invite on stage the 2 Johns. If you'd like to grab your seats, gentlemen. And people already know who you are, so we've been enjoying you sharing your wisdom, and we get a chance to actually share more of that. So please put your hands together. Whichever seat you want first is fine. I'll move this slightly further around. And first of all, we have Mr. John Matone. Massive round of applause, please. And if you don't know, he is very well known for many different things, not just a great speaker, but also for being Steve Jobs' personal coach, a mentor. And we also have on the far side, John Zerihan, who you may have noticed yesterday, sharing all about Yamba, which is one of the brand new platforms that is going to change the world. So a round of applause for John as well. I feel like I'm a bit left out, being called Dave and not John, but maybe I can change it by default before the end of today. So we want to ask a number of questions, and then we're going to open up to the floor. First of all, we've got a room full of CIOs, which are in many ways not just the smartest people in most companies, but the guys that are going to make a difference. Now, the way that I would suggest we look at things is, I guess that so if I say John, it could be out of you, but John next to me, John Matone, you have experience about the way that things used to be done, and John Zerihan, you need to know how things will be done in the future, because that's the template that you're taking. For people in the room who are CIOs and they want to make a difference in their organization, what are the pitfalls they should be thinking of as they step towards a higher role in leadership? I'll ask that to John first, which means
So if I go first, I think John also knows about the future as well in leadership, and hopefully I can pick his brain on that side. But there's a big difference from the tech leaders of yesterday and the tech leaders of the future. I believe I'll see people like Zuckerberg and Elon Musk being challenged today. And we took them for granted 10 years ago when they started. And now they are, or their products or their platforms, their services are an integral part of our lives in a different way, bigger than many countries. And we need to question them on a leadership basis as well. As global leaders and as the effect on culture in regions. And I believe that's what I'm looking into for my leadership in the future.
I see in the room the great leaders of today and tomorrow. And it really goes back to what I said earlier this morning. The intellect in this room is very, very high. And ultimately, the transformation work that you're doing and will do in the future will be a function, in my mind, of the quality of your leadership. And so I do have this privileged opportunity to travel the world and work with many, many successful individuals like yourselves. And the key differentiator that I see is, and I started this gentleman who just spoke, in fact, he brought up the importance of culture and how important culture is. When you think about culture and leadership, they really go hand in hand, so does talent. As Steve Jobs identified the leading indicators many, many years ago. Ultimately, can you create a culture of can-do where people believe that the transformation that you're trying to make is going to happen? And in my mind, there's a big difference between thinking that you can do something and believing that you can do it. And the greatest CIOs in the world are really, really good at getting people in the organization, all stakeholders, to build the bridge to belief. And you do it through the ability to have a strong vision for the transformation that you really don't want to make. It's about must make. It's non-negotiable. And I think that's another differentiator as we look at the future. Ultimately, it's not about the organization that you want to create. It's a lot bigger than that. It's just like each of you. It's bigger than, hey, what do you want to become? It's about what you must become. It's non-negotiable. That mindset is very, very critical.
There you go, very smart thinking, the two Johns, John Matone and John Zerihun sharing their thoughts on leadership, and certainly the CIO space. CIO space is really important because they're the tech guys, as I mentioned, who are responsible for choosing the type of software and the type of tech that goes into any organization. Now, if you're as old as I am, you're able to recognize the time when once upon a time there was a choice for home video. Do you go Betamax or do you go VHS? And I realize by saying that nobody's nodding because they're all going, no, I don't remember that. What do you mean videotape, granddad? Okay, but there was a choice, and if you chose the wrong one, then you end up with a machine that's outdated and nobody was using it at all, going way back. Right now, there's so many new platforms coming through, you really have to be up to speed. But that's looking at the actual tech. It's not just about the tech, it's also about the people. So our next video, we're going to be looking at how to get your team motivated and look after them wherever they are. As always, I'd love you to follow this and love you to subscribe to YouTube. That's Dave Crane Global, and also to follow me, and wherever your platform is. Got any questions, feel free to ask. I'm here for you. And this is all about motivating you to feel differently. Enjoy your cup of coffee or your tea or your water, or wherever you are in the world. Might be red wine, I have no idea if you have that for breakfast, but I'm not judging. In lockdown, the rules are thrown out, and you'll find out more about that as we look at remote working next on Speak on Stage.
To increase the effectiveness and productivity of virtual teams, you need to show your support by making regular connections with all of your team members. Because they are geographically dispersed, you don't have the same level of control over remote teams as you do over on-site team members. You also can't give your remote team members the same type of attention and supervision that you can with co-located teams. But you have to find time to support them. There are a number of strategies you can use to support and encourage the members of your virtual team. The first is to connect and stay connected to all your virtual team members. Talk regularly with all team members via phone or video conferencing. Make it a priority to touch base with them several times per week and not just rely on emails or texts. When you talk to your team members, ask for their input and feedback and encourage them to open up. This makes sure that they stay engaged, helping to keep team morale high, and gives you fresh perspectives on what's working and what isn't. It also lets you keep them in the loop about what's happening in the office. It strengthens the connection they have with the broader organization. Connect the team as a whole by meeting together regularly to strengthen relationships among team members. Bonding with each other builds trust and camaraderie. Another strategy is to encourage their input and contribution. Remember, engaged employees are productive employees. To engage your team, arrange meetings where everyone can share ideas and information, and that includes you. It's not always easy to get people to talk. Encourage sharing by asking open-ended questions that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. It's a sure way to coax input and let people expand on ideas. And once you've got them talking, let them do so without needless interruption. Then confirm what they've said and the suggestions they've made. This shows your support and understanding. Another tip for encouraging participation is to recognize and thank team members for contributing during meetings. And if someone isn't contributing during a meeting, get them involved by calling on them by name and directly ask their opinion or input on an issue. Rewarding and reinforcing accomplishments when appropriate is a great way to support and motivate your team members. Motivation matters. When you notice that your team's morale is low or they seem stuck in a rut, think of ways to motivate them. If at all possible, find a way to get them together in person from time to time. A team dinner, for example, can do wonders for motivation and alignment, and it's worth making the investment. Team rewards, too, can be a very effective motivation. And if particular employees stand out, reward them for their good work. Managers need to make sure that they proactively provide validation and encouragement to remote team members. But remember to match rewards to each individual. Don't reward everyone the same way. These strategies support and encourage remote team members, allowing them to feel a part of and committed to both the team and the organization.
So there we are. Looking at the teams, if you've got them remotely, all over the world, and many people will be making decisions to start their own businesses because they're thinking, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do now. I've been laid off, or I've got to look at different options, or I've got a great idea, and I really want to start that side hustle and do something with it. That's really fascinating because I think that this is the way that many cases the economies are going to go. Typically, about 80% of any country, the economy is run by small businesses, not the big businesses, because they're really hard to pivot. So for instance, if you imagine this, by the way, this is all about making money for you, so make notes as we go. Otherwise you get none of that, and then you'll be living in your car, which is a terrible thing. I'm not even joking. It's not even funny. Okay, so imagine this is stress toy, which I'll just prove to you, it's not a gold bar. Oh, look at the muscles on Dave. Zero muscles on Dave. If I go and squeeze out of that, you can see it's a squeeze toy, and I'm not even joking. So there we go, it's a squeeze toy. So normally in an economy, you've got lots of businesses, and they're going in this direction. We're all heading that direction because the government says so, and the world's going that, and the stock exchange is saying so, and I've got that picture, so I'll make another one come along. And then suddenly the world changes, COVID, everything gets locked down, and so the world goes like that, and it goes in a different direction, which you couldn't see because I changed camera. Goes like that, goes like that. So it's moving camera angle all the time. So what I'm saying is the world is altering the direction of where businesses is going, and therefore if you're in a small organization you can pivot much easier because you've got less staff, less infrastructure, you haven't got such long delivery of contracts to do. You can maybe go, right, nobody's doing that anymore, what can we do to change it? And that's what most organizations have had to go through right now. So if you're looking at a small organization and you've hired a team that you might never meet, but you've got them working with you all around the world, and many people in that position, I mean, I've worked with staff all around the world that I've never met, and I've only ever talked on Skype and sometimes on text message for like 12 years or so. It can be done, and it will be done. That's a new way of doing it. You'll need to know how to work with your team and relate to them even closer. So what we've got now is a bit of expertise from Toastmasters. And if you don't know Toastmasters, they're one of the world's premier organizations for teaching people to speak to a level. Very good at doing it to a level. If you want to do it properly, you got to talk to me. Hey, SpeakOnstage as part of the system. I love your thoughts and your comments, by the way. And if you're a Toastmasters, then I wish you the very best of luck. This is your guys. You've probably already seen this video already. How to do, I think it's probably stage etiquette or laptop etiquette to get the most of your relationship with people. Very interesting video, and this is SpeakOnstage.
Hi, I'm Kate Wingrove, Training and Development Director with Toastmasters International. Online meetings are becoming an increasingly popular way to connect, whether in your Toastmasters club, at work, or just as a way to connect with friends. Here are a few tips to follow as you participate in an online meeting. Test your technology. It's always a good idea to set up and test your technology before the meeting starts. Make sure your camera, headphones or speakers, and microphone are all working before your meeting, not during. We recommend joining meetings early, especially if you're going to speak during them, for just this reason. Eliminate noise. If possible, join online meetings while sitting in a quiet space. Before the meeting starts, try and eliminate any noises that may be distracting, including silencing your phone. Your microphone may pick up background noise, and that can be a major distraction for other meeting participants. Mute your microphone. To take the previous tip a step further, we recommend muting your microphone whenever you aren't speaking. This simple step is an easy way to guarantee that background noises, movements, breathing, or other sounds don't distract from whoever is currently speaking. When it's your turn to speak, just remember to unmute your microphone. Make eye contact with your camera. Eye contact is an important part of any speech, and it's something that people struggle with when meeting online. The best way to mimic eye contact online is to focus on your webcam and not your screen or anything else around you. If it helps, you can make this fun by attaching googly eyes or a smiley face to your webcam. Think about your background. If there is anything in your background that may be distracting, try and move it before the meeting. Some online meeting platforms allow you to blur your background, while others allow you to change it altogether. These are both good options to hide what otherwise might distract speakers and fellow meeting participants. Use proper lighting. If you're going to be on camera during an online meeting, it's important to make sure others can see you. To ensure that happens, work in a well-lit room and avoid having any lights point directly at your camera. Treat it like any other meeting. Online meetings may be awkward at times, but behaving as you normally would in person will make it less so. Dress, speak, and behave like you would during any other meeting, and you'll be just fine. If you wouldn't do it during an in-person meeting, don't do it in an online one. Follow these tips and you'll be contributing to successful online meetings in no time.
Right then, some fascinating stuff from Toastmasters, and one thing she said about the background, and I don't know about you, but her background there, and if you didn't see it, then rewind the video later on when we finish broadcasting. She's in a sort of like a hall space where she had two doors behind her, one that might be leading to a bedroom, I don't know, I'm just saying, and one that was kind of leading to a front door. And if you can avoid, I know it's not always easy to do, avoid having doors behind you, because people can't take their eyes off them in case somebody's going to walk through, like a serial killer or a man carrying a box of cereal or anything. You know, kids popping out, or the door opens up and there's a dungeon behind and somebody's strapped up like that going, help! So, not that I live like that, but I would be fascinated if it came up in a video. I don't know why I press for money, but it's just fascinating to think. So anyway, SpeakOnstage, we're talking about leadership. We're talking about lots of different things, to be honest with you. We're talking about the importance of the new skill sets that you need to be a leader. So with that, I thought what we'd do is share some top talent leaders who are telling us the 10 secrets we should be considering while we're doing all this stuff. So let's go for the first one, asking the hard questions of your team. You have to talk to your team and just be realistic with them. How are they feeling? Are they feeling okay? Are they not feeling okay? You really have to be able to do that. If you fluff over it and you mess around with it, then you will never find out what's really going on. It's part of leadership, and you will get some uncomfortable answers, but unless you really care about your team and making sure that your business grows, you've got to be straight up with everybody, and sometimes that means that you've got to take the hit. Number 2, be empathetic, which means that you've got to use emotional intelligence to know that if there are challenges amongst all your team, you have to give sympathy. If you just turn around and go, yeah, whatever, you might be able to do that by having other staff that can look after them, but you can't do that when you're the leader. You've got to make sure that you do connect with every single person and listen to this about the work-life balance in remote, even more, I would say, than any other time, okay? Because if you don't think about it like that, you don't connect with people naturally, because you don't see them. There's no water cooler. There's no people going outside for a cigarette. There's no waiting in the elevator to chat to each other. You are remote. So if you don't make a special effort to connect to people, you don't get that chance at all. Number 3, create space for non-work conversations and be thoughtful that sometimes people just want their time back. It's true. Don't overstay your welcome, but also allow people to be part of your culture. Share with them, find out what makes them tick, find out what they're happy with, but don't drag them necessarily into something that they don't want to do once all the work is finished. You don't own them. The actual way that things work is that before you used to hire people to work from 9 to 5 and 9 to 6, and during that time they pretty much work for you. When it comes to remote, the smart way for you to run it is to stay close to them, have the days when they log in, but have them be more flexible, I don't know what flexible means, flexible with their projects. So therefore, as long as the job gets done, they can do it in their own time. They'll be able to work on it overnight, seriously, and they want to do it and have it ready for the morning to save a day off or to save something else, then that does make sense when you're stuck at home and you've got flexible hours that make a difference to the way that you connect with everybody. So let them have their time, but also don't push them to overstay your welcome when you're in their time as well. Nobody wants to work till 8 o'clock unless it's by their choice, especially not in their own home, because they've got families waiting for them. You know, even if we were commuting normally with that, it's different now. You've got to reset that balance. Excuse me. Yummy. We love your thoughts and your ideas, by the way. Please feel free to share, start a watch party, and let people see what's going on if you think this is of interest. And also, any questions you have, let me know too, because with your questions, then I can formulate better shows for you that are better suited to the things that you want to know about. All right, number 4, dial up social listening. Social listening is the ability to connect with people effectively and to know what is going on. You need to have happy staff. You need to have them engaged. So pay attention to the clues that they give you all the way through. Sometimes people say things without saying it. You've got to listen to what they're not saying as well. He said, being an NLP master practitioner, you really don't have the same opportunities to find out what's going on, but people could leave your organization without telling you. And the reason is never the money. It's money can make a difference. It's literally they leave managers and culture, and they leave the fact that they don't feel wanted and special. So let them have that as well. Number 5, let your sales team transform. Important. They're not going to visit clients the way they used to. They just aren't. Going to a client's office, sitting there waiting to see them. They're going to have to do virtual meetings and have all the tools responsible for doing it. And like I'm here, this is my phone right in front of us that we're looking at, and this is me with a backdrop and everything else built in. So with that, you've got to think about what your team are going to have and give them the tools to be able to do that effectively for them. Otherwise, you don't get sales, and sales, of course, are at the heart of any organization to be able to do what they need to do. Number 6, encourage your teams to bring their whole selves to work. And it's not the okey-cokey. You put your right arm in, right arm out, in, out, shake it all about. You do the okey-cokey. I'm not going to turn around because I'll fall off a chair. It's a very nice chair. This is one way. If you pull a lever, your head goes back like that, your feet go up, and you can fall asleep while working, which makes for a very long show. So I'm not going to do that because it takes too much money. I don't want to waste your time, but it's important to think about when you do go to work, you're very much engaged with work, and when you're not at work, you're there for your family, for yourself, and for your well-being. This is an important factor that many people hadn't considered. Well-being is massively important nowadays because the second pandemic, as I mentioned over the last couple of days, is about mental and emotional health. And so it can creep up on you, even if you're engaged at work. So go and give your best at work and let people have their best at home with their friends, with their clients, and so on. Not clients, what's a client doing in their house? Best at home with their friends, their family, and their loved ones. All right, number 7 is this. Set up an ongoing channel for remote work sharing, resource sharing. Some people use Slack. Slack's a very good one. You can have Dropboxes and stuff like that. But sometimes people want to share stuff. It used to be on a USB. But you need to have some kind of networking set up to make sure people can share all that content. So I don't know what the best one is to use. You may have some great suggestions. I'm happy to share that with everybody when it comes up in the show. But keep an eye to new tech. All the time it is changing. And so as it does change, you'll make sure that you're at the forefront of stuff. And also security is incredibly important because right now, everybody can hack into everybody. You probably could and always will anyway, but you want to make sure you keep your stuff and your data as safe as possible, not least to make sure that it goes away onto a server so nobody can access it apart from those who want to or need to or allowed to access it, just to be on the safe side as well, because staff can leave and sometimes staff do leave during these important times. Number 8, have your CEO host regular office hours. Okay, so if you're the big boss and you're the big leader, then some days you should be doing 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 so people can know to check in on you. And by doing that, it means that you're able to give some kind of normality. There's a real danger that if you're all doing flexible hours, there isn't a real drive to how the company comes together. So as a CEO, you get the short straw, or maybe it's a long straw, depending on how you want to look at it, but you spend more time working than anybody on just saying hi in the office and making sure you stay on top of that. Number 9 is gone. Where's it gone? Well, there you go. Subscribe to Forbes. Who could have imagined it's disappeared, but it was very important. So instead, we've got 8 things that you need to consider with your platform and being able to connect and look after your team. Who could have imagined? I'll find out the other ones. I'll share them with you next time. and I should have thought about that beforehand. It's Speak on Stage. Anyone can make a mistake, said the Dalek climbing off the dustbin. And that was a Doctor Who joke, and if you understand Doctor Who, it was also very funny. So next up on the cheat sheets, we get cheat sheets. This is where we give you the opportunity to see a load of bullet points I think are kind of essential for you to be able to get more busy with your team and do more. This is something that, from chatting to friends and colleagues and work people, they've said, actually, I take a screenshot of this. It's really useful. So I need to make sure that I've done my hair properly. You can see my hair's done exactly the same as it's always been done, so it makes no difference to me whatsoever. But with this, we look at the key areas that you have to consider. And I checked out a number of different sites and did some research on this to make sure that I'd pretty much got on point for it. So first of all, let's look at this. Do you have any music to go with this? Oh yeah. Isn't it? But I'm going to shut it down a little bit because then it gets too noisy and you can't hear nothing from me. He said becoming Cornish, as in from Cornwall, as in UK, as in the bit that looks like a foot. No? Okay, trust me. Alright then, communication's your first point. Being a clear communicator makes a massive difference. Ultimately, it's so important when you connect with a team. And even if you're doing it by email or by text message or WhatsApp or video call or whatever it is, you have to be very precise about what it is you're saying to people, because you don't have the opportunity to say, oh, well, don't worry, we'll do it a different way, without somebody feeling like they've wasted time. And people are coping with other stuff, not just your work. So you need to make sure that you give the right kind of balance for them. And don't be scared to apologize. I apologize all the time, as you probably see with the show. Things go wrong all the time, which makes it very interesting and very Dave. Right, caring. People need to know that you truly care as well. So important that you're interested in their welfare, and it means that you can't just say it, you've got to sound like you're saying it. Sound like you mean it. Or even better, be genuinely interested in your team. Because the thing is, when it comes to customers, you know why customers leave you? Not over price, no. Why is it? You want to put it in and send it to me? Let's go through it quickly. I'll tell you why customers leave. The number one reason why people leave your company and your business is because you didn't make them feel special. They just didn't feel that you cared about them. So that's even more true for the team. Listen to them, sound interested, and let them know that they are very, very much special, because at the end of the day, they are the currency that you have, and if they're not there, they go somewhere else, you end up with you have to start your whole culture again. So look after your team as much as you possibly can. Number 3, organization. You may never see your team socially or physically. You might not see them physically ever again, to be honest with you. But with that, how are you going to connect with them? We mentioned Slack earlier, but the other platforms. And you might want to use Kahoots and other things like that for having games on a regular basis, just to have some fun. I mean, you might have worked in different workplaces that have like pool tables or that have foosball. Well, that's not going to happen the same way now. So you have to come up with something that's universally appreciated by everybody. It might even be looking at the old school games, video games we used to have many, many years ago, and getting some of them in tournaments just for you to play against Pac-Man against each other, or Asteroids, or I don't know, Weekend, if you've had, not Weekend, Fortnite. That's how old I am. Or About Us. There you go. Top of the food chain. That's a game that tons of people are playing. So About Us, which is like a murder mystery as to who's responsible for killing everybody else. And it's not really killing, it's just getting somebody who's a little cartoon character in a spacesuit and, okay, well, killing them. All right, number 4, consistency. You need to know that they need to know that you're completely reliable and they can follow you anywhere, anytime, because you're always constant, you're always there, and you're always there to help them. If they see a different version of you, then they don't know what to do with you, and they generally then won't. But they end up talking to other members of staff about you, and that's the last thing you want to happen. But you do want a level of transparency, you still want to have some level of control and respect in it as well. Number 5, informality. Even the most professional people are now working from home, so be informal, but be human with everybody. Make sure that you treat people as they want to be treated. Some people like to be very strict and have a line. Some people like to chill out a little bit more. Play with everybody the way that a combination of your company culture and also the way that you believe that they best respond. Some people like to wear suits at home. Some people would never be seen dead in a suit, apart from you normally get buried in a suit when you're dead. So that's technically inappropriate. Number 6, positivity. It's a secret weapon that most people don't know, but anyone's a motivational speaker. Excuse me, just have a little glass of IA, water, Malay. Extra nice today, I don't know why. So positivity, whether you're a motivational speaker, smile. I mean, everybody is a cheerleader for their company and for themselves. Make sure that when you are there, you don't just talk about work. Because the thing is, you can anchor people into feeling comfortable going on screen, or if you end up telling them off and you don't resolve it, they never want to go on screen again, and it's really uncomfortable because you have a physical and emotional anchor to the only communication tool that you have to connect with people. So even if you end up having a big fat fight with somebody and telling them off, make sure you go back and reset that relationship with your laptop and with the camera afterwards. So I mean, simply saying, "Are you okay now? Are we okay?" And chat to them separately from the entire group. Take them to one side, call them up, do a Zoom, and say, "I know that was difficult for you. I just want to check that we're still back to square one. Are we okay to move forward? Is there anything you want to say to help you keep your job?" No, don't say that. But you know what I mean. The idea is that you reset the balance with everybody, especially after an altercation. Number 7, listening. Give people incredible clues in what they say. And if I stick my head like that, like I said earlier, is what they say and what they don't say. Sometimes people don't tell you what's going on, but there are clues all the time as to what they're really doing. It's like a swan on the surface. You've got this incredible swan that's swimming along and it's graceful. Well, I wouldn't swim along. It's got its like beak and its head like that. It's going along like that, but underneath its little legs are going wee. So on top, it just looks like it doesn't care. And many of your staff will be like that. Many of your staff won't tell you what's going on. So you're going to pay attention to the clues and the things they say and things that they don't say. All right, number 8, trust. If you haven't already got trust of the members of your staff, you have to reset your trust. There's one thing to get trust because you're paying them for their wages. It's another thing because they need to confide in you the truth. If someone turns around to you and says to you, "By the way, boss, I'm having a really hard time dealing with things. Things are really challenging. My head hurts. My relationship is just falling to bits. I don't get home with my family anymore, or I'm considering moving from my house, and I don't earn enough money now to be able to take care of all the rest of it." Whatever they're saying to you, are you going to go, "Ha ha, I've got you. You have to go"? Well, if that's the case, you're going to have a real challenge because you'll never know what's really going on with staff. They can tell this early on. But if you're transparent and you let them know that you're benevolent and you understand that they may want to move on, but you're there for them and you always will be, not only will they leave if they're ready, but many people won't because they'll have a look around and realize that you don't want to lose and leave what you already get on with. But those that do leave will turn around, and because they love your culture, they'll recommend how good you were as a boss, how well they enjoyed working with the organization, and they'll send you a load of staff that they bump into who are disgruntled and say, "Well, if you'd gone to work my old company, the boss is brilliant. Let me do an introduction for you." See? Useful. All right, number 9 is digital stagecraft. Understanding all the things you need to be able to do, from conducting virtual meetings to creating relationships to selling to showing information to speaking at conferences. All the things we've got to do, digital stagecraft is at the heart of them when you talk about using technology. And I don't see a time when we won't be using technology until the zombies come. They didn't tell you about zombies. But in that case, forget the zombies. Talk about something else. Okay, so we're almost through this list. These are new leadership skill sets that you're going to have. Team progress. Utilize great tracking tools and software. That includes artificial intelligence. And for instance, one of the new tracking tools, one of the new broadcasting tools uses artificial intelligence to track your face. So if I'm looking at the camera, let's give an example. So if I'm looking at the camera like this, then that's fine because you can see I'm looking at you. But in most cases, people are watching a monitor to see the faces of the people they're talking to. So I'd be like that. In which case, you can't see me properly. You can see me, but you can see my eyes are somewhere else. Well, we've got tracking software that's able to map your face using artificial intelligence and move your face to look at the camera, even though you'll be like this. Seriously. And that's just about to come out. It's called Maxine. Something like that, Maxine. Very interesting tech, but as a boss, you have to stay on top of it. Otherwise, people do better than you. And if they know there's something and you've missed it as a trick and you're not paying attention to it, it could come back and bite you. People leave, and you don't want to leave when you've got a real challenge recruiting good staff as it is. Okay, so that's number 10. Number 11 is this one, work-life balance. Of course, making sure your team get it right. Work-life balance is so important. Work isn't everything, and if your team are overstressed and overworked, then they won't be able to give you good work anyway, because they'll just be yearning for a break. And last but not least, messaging and communication. Whatever you do with your staff, add empathy, create that relationship, and let them know that you're always there for them. Same as I am here for you. So if you want to get in contact with me at any stage, feel free to go to thedavidcrane.com, and there's a site that's got all my contact details on everything, WhatsApp, my communication stuff is all there. And I'm keen to help you as much as possible, because we're all in it together. I truly do believe that. And if you see me show on a regular basis, you know that I'm not joking, or I'm not even joking. This is just me. So I hope that's been useful for you. New leadership and new key skill sets. Just having a last swig of tea there. Very nice, my Captain Marvel mug. Thank you for sticking with me today. I try and broadcast it for you every single day. Today, this afternoon, I've got a really big day. Loads of things to sort out. A couple of presentations to make around the world from my laptop here, which is very exciting. So I want to make sure you did get a show today. I was thinking about it. I mean, some people will love this show, some people will hate this show, but I'm really doing this because I want to be able to connect with you and let you know that there's somebody out here who cares. And that sounds very twee and yeah, Dave, what do you mean by that? I really do mean it. I want you to understand that whatever's going through your life and your mind and the challenges that you are going through, you never have to be alone. You can always reach out to me and I'll help you as much as I can do. But there's tons of people, business professionals, personal professionals, who are there to help you to make sure you can get through everything. So don't be a stranger and don't think that you have to be all tough and hide from everything either. Okay, the Industry Icon Program is how I train people to be brilliant at their job. In fact, it's not at their job, brilliant at branding their job, to be more precise. So you might be very good as a doctor, but nowadays doctors have to deal with telehealth and that pandemic that's going to hit them like a tsunami, literally, as they find that a lot of their core money is going into call centers, who can then use telehealth to work out how to get the best effective results for a person. I mean, if you look at the US right now, the US has got the highest healthcare spend in the world. But that doesn't mean it's got greatest healthcare at all. What it does mean is it charges people more for healthcare than anywhere else in the world. Does that make sense? So a doctor, for instance, nowadays really needs to be able to do a couple of things. They need to be able to make sure that they are working with an organization, but they have a level of independence as well. But also, if you've got a practice of a private practice and people need to come to you for you to earn your money by working with people, you need to make sure that you understand digital stagecraft. You understand how to do a show like this, how to communicate with people, how to be more effective. If you're just doing what you did before behind a desk, but you're doing it onto a Zoom call, then people won't buy into it. I don't want to know what you've diagnosed before if I don't even know if I'm talking to a human being. So that's just one particular area that I work with people from all walks of life, all businesses who really want to step up. Go to SpeakOnstage.com, look for the bit where it says Industry Icon, click on that. It's a green button, I believe, and from there you'll be given my Calendly link. So set yourself up for a 10 minutes chat, 15 minutes chat about the things that you need to do on your own roadmap to become more successful. And so I'm looking forward to chatting to you with you on that. And if you want to get straight in touch with me directly and you're saying, Dave, I want to learn to speak, I want to change my life, I want to be branded as a guru and be the marketing person that everyone goes to in my industry, but I can help you with that as well. It's that simple. And I'll explain more in future episodes of Speak on Stage. There we go, finally got through it. It was a challenge today, I was so tired, but thank you for bearing with it and being forgiving when I tripped over my own words, and said things that made no sense whatsoever, like I've just done now. Could I just have a quick cup of tea? You don't mind? Is that okay? Say if you don't. Okay, thank you. Last of a tea. So I've got a busy day today. Tomorrow we're going to come back. I've got a whole series that I'm working on right now for you about the podcasty guest show, talk show host world that's now being created. So anybody can be a talk show host, anybody can be a talk show guest, and anybody can produce somebody else's system. So we're going to be going as a deep dive into that because I've had some personal experience of working as a radio broadcaster for many years, but also with TV and how that all comes together. And we're going to share that with you in the future episodes. So with that, it's been a pleasure having you with me. Love your thoughts, love your comments, love your company. And without you, I would be nothing. Stay groovy, and we'll catch up with tomorrow. I'm going to leave you a video all about leadership, and it's called Alphas. And it all comes back to speaking on stage, finding your voice in here, finding your voice here, and communicating effectively. It's Speak on Stage. Have a great day. Let me talk to you about alphas. Alphas are the way that things are going to be in the future. If you're not an alpha, then you're not anybody in a world where people need to see your brand. So what's an alpha? Every single industry, every single walk of life, every single part of the animal kingdom knows that the alphas are the leaders that make things happen. When you go into a boardroom full of people and you're wondering how you fit in, if you're an alpha, it won't matter because you're in charge. So how do you create a brand? How do you position yourself in a world where being an alpha makes a difference? You have to consider what that truly means to people. To find if you're an alpha, you've got to ask yourself certain questions. Are you a risk taker? Are you a heavy hitter? Are you a mover and a shaker? Are you a thought leader? Are you somebody that people gravitate towards because you're a manager? Are you scared of the consequences of getting it wrong? Do you embrace the ways that you can make it right? Do you move on and position yourself regardless of what's happened before? If you have, you are an alpha. If you're not, you are a follower. The difference in a war is you become the cannon fodder. So let's put it in perspective. How do you put it together? How do you get yourself in a position where your alpha will allow you to earn more money, be more successful, grow your business, be seen by others, and have a tribe that are your followers? Well, very simple. In my opinion, you learn to speak. Speaking's the advantage. Communication is one of the few things that most people don't know what to do. If you take the biggest leaders in business that you can think of, whether it's a Steve Jobs, a Richard Branson, whether it's a Nelson Mandela, or a Donald Trump, or an Obama, every single one of them has one thing in common. Their message was clear. And when the message is clear, people can follow. So where does that put you? Can you speak? Can you say what you need to say in front of strangers? Can you walk into a boardroom full of people and stand there and make your claim and do your sales in any part of the world? If you can't do that, you're not doing your business. If you can't do the speaking, if you can't do the communication, you're not an alpha. But when you are, you walk in a room and the whole world sees you. The whole world appreciates you. The whole world repositions you. And this is the noise that you will hear. Learn to speak, and you become an alpha too.